This common mistake could ruin your muzzleloader. So many people, they finish the season up and they don't clean the muzzleloader, or they clean the barrel and they don't pull the breech plug out. So it doesn't just affect accuracy, it could actually render your gun completely useless. And today, I'm going to walk you through the basics on how to clean an inline muzzleloader. So in an inline muzzleloader, there's a few common steps that you have to go through. You clean the barrel, then you clean the breech plug, then you clean the threads inside the breech plug. I'm going to walk you through my process. Now, there are different propellants out there. So I'm shooting Blackhorn 209, which I think is one of the best powders on the marketplace. It's a nitrocellulose-based powder, but it does require specific cleaning products like the T17 from TC. This is formulated to clean today's modern propellants. Now, it will also work with your standard Pyrodex and Pyrodex pellets as well, but number 13 bore cleaner is really suited to clean up the Pyrodex line of powder, and that was developed years ago in conjunction with the development of this powder. Now, Pyrodex, as well as 777, it has sulfur in the powder, so that's actually even more corrosive than the Blackhorn powder. But either way, you have to clean your muzzleloader. The very first step is clean the barrel. So before we get started, even though I know it's completely empty, hear this? I am bouncing off the top of the breech plug. It's completely unloaded. Open it up. I can see the pinhole of light through the breech plug. So now I know my gun is completely unloaded and I'm ready to clean the barrel. A lot of people, because it's an inline muzzleloader and they can remove the breech plug, they think, well, I remove the breech plug and clean all the way through the gun. It's really problematic when you do that, because if you think about it, there's threads inside the breech plug, and if you push all that garbage into the threads, it just creates a longer process to clean those out. So I like to take the range rod. You can use the rod that comes in your gun. Range rod is just nice because it's longer, it's stiffer, and it's just easier to handle when cleaning the barrel. So we'll take our pre-saturated cleaning patches. Okay, so these are T17 cleaning patches, already saturated in the solvent. So it just makes it easier. You can take standard cleaning patches and you can take, the solvent itself and soak them. A little bit cheaper that way. So here's our first patch down the barrel. Now here's what you have to remember, depending on how dirty your barrel is short strokes down. If you feel it start to grab, you want to back out. On Pyrodex and the 777 powder, you'll feel a crud ring right above the breech plug. You don't feel that so much with the Blackhorn, but if you feel that crud ring, it starts to grab your patch, then you got to stop. So there's our first patch. You can see this. Now, what I like to do, you look at the back side of the patch. When it's really dirty, all I want to do is remove the heavy fouling inside the barrel. So I just flip it over. It's a little bit more economical that way. Short strokes all the way down. Where's most of your powder burning and igniting? Right above the breech plug at top 6 inches. So really work that area. And like I said, if you're shooting Pyrodex or 777, you're going to have a crud ring. Basically, where the bullet sits on top of your pellets. Okay, so here's your Pyrodex pellets. So let's say you're shooting 2 pellets. So these go down the barrel and they sit on top of the breech plug like this, and then your bullet projectile sits here, stacked together. This is where the crud ring forms. So if you have 3 pellets, it sits higher, 2 pellets, it sits there. Very, very important to get that crud ring removed because it affects your seating depth, and you want to make sure that your bullet sits on top of your powder. Now, at this point in the process, all you're doing is running patches. So if you've shot 10 shots, 12 shots, 15 shots, whatever it is, it's going to be dirtier or less dirty if you haven't shot as much. Now, okay, that's already starting to coming out clean. So we're already on basically our 3rd patch. We're going to flip this over. It'll never come out perfectly clean, no matter what you do. If you do have to break up that crud ring and the solvent isn't working because it's been a while since you've maintenanced your barrel, taking a bronze brush and working that down can also break up that crud ring. It's really smart to do. Okay, another, I think we'll be good after this patch. Now, I know there's a lot of people out there, and hopefully you're going to watch this video, that think that you can leave your muzzleloader loaded from season to season. Number one, that's not safe. But two, you know, even on today's modern propellants, you are going to ruin your barrel. 100% ruin, corrode your barrel, pit your barrel, and I've seen it get to the point where you can't even remove the breech plug. And then once that happens, then you're really in trouble. All right, let me walk you through where we're at here. So here's patch 1, patch 2, and patch 3. Now remember, I flipped these each time, but you can see super dirty, getting cleaner. That's as clean as you're gonna get it. So at that point, normally it takes 3 to 5 saturated cleaning patches, flipping them over. Now we're gonna take our dry cleaning patch. We want all the moisture to come out of the barrel. It's really important to have a good cleaning jag that's properly sized for your barrel. So 50 caliber cleaning jag to the 50 caliber barrel. So when this cleaning jag wraps around the jag like that, you want all of this surface area cleaning inside the lands and the grooves, and then you have this little edge right there, that little lip. So what keeps the patch on is not really this knurling. That keeps the patch from spinning. It actually wraps over and catches on the back of that, and that's how you don't lose your patch inside your barrel. Now, in the event, for some reason, that you do get a patch stuck inside the barrel, take some more solvent and squirt it down the barrel, and it will rehydrate or saturate that patch. It'll break up the fouling inside the barrel, and then just work it up and down in short strokes, and then you should be able to pull it out. All right, that barrel's clean. We're done. The barrel is squeaky clean. Now, we have not lubed it yet, and that's the last process we're gonna do to preserve the barrel. But now we're gonna take out the breech plug. Now, in the Encore, we do have an external breech plug. It's called Speed Breech XT. So we can take this extractor, pull it out partially, pivot it to the side. Okay, it was that simple, right? Here's your extractor. You pull it out, you pivot to the side. Now I could take the breech plug, and this is only a 1/4 turn breech plug. So you'll see these 2 lines right there. So when these lines come across right there, then you will blow it out. How simple is that? Now, it does come with, the gun comes with a spanner wrench that you can work off of these notches here in the event that this plug is really corroded. So lay my gun down. Now, at this point, we have to clean the breech plug. So you can see, because of these gas piston rings here, we have an annular seal, so we don't have a lot of fouling. I mean, we have a little bit, but we have to remove all of that. Very simple. Take our saturated cloth, the same one we cleaned the barrel with. Wipe that around. Clean the threads out. You do have an O-ring seal on the back of that. If you've not keep that properly lubed up, you can replace that. It does help to lock and seal everything. So, see the powder well in there? You want to make sure you get that nice and clean. Now, these breech plugs are designed to work both with loose powder and with pellets. Pellets sit on top of the breech plug. So these are designed, we have this big flat right there. These pellets sit perfectly on top. And then when the flame comes out of here, it comes and ignites the entire bottom of the pellet. Because with the pellets, you have to burn from the bottom up through the flash hole and around the powder. That's how they're designed to ignite. So that's why this sits off the breech face. So when that flame comes out of the fire channel, it's flaming out like that in a cone and ignites the pellet in a positive way. On the Blackhorn, you want it actually inside that bowl so the fire rolls around the entire bottom of the powder. All right, so that looks pretty clean. Now what I normally do is, this is your brush you use to clean the threads inside the barrel. I just hit that like that. wipe it down again. Now at this point, I know most people are thinking, I am done cleaning my breech plug. And you are incorrect. That is not right. If you've been shooting, especially with Blackhorn, okay, now it applies to both Pyrodex 777 and Blackhorn. What most people forget about is the fire channel. The fire channel is this big hole right here where the 209 primer fits into, okay, and then it comes out to this vent hole here that's only about 30 thousandths. But this fire channel goes all the way through the breech plug, and it's optimally designed to deliver the powder, or excuse me, deliver the flame to the powder and not create a lot of back pressure. However, what happens on the Blackhorn powder is this starts to clog and build up, and it restricts the fire channel in here. And then what happens is you get excessive back pressure, and you don't get as much flame to the powder, and you get inconsistent ignitions. So if you start shooting, let's say you get up to shot 8, 9, or 10, you see your group start to open, or you feel like there's a lag in the ignition, it's because your fire channel is not clean. Now there's two ways to clean it. TC, sells a small brush like this that you can get in there and you can clean it out. But the best way is with a small drill bit, okay? This is 1/8 inch drill bit. Now, do not put this on the drill, by the way, in your hands only. What you want to do is you want to get in here and you will spin this around, and it actually carves out the fouling. So you can see, look at all that. And that's only from a half a dozen shots. That is what's creating inconsistent ignition. You just work this around with your fingers. This is the most critical thing to clean on your muzzleloader. It doesn't matter whether CVA, Traditions, Thompson Center, you have to clean your fire channel. And the best way I found is not just with the brush. A brush is good, it cleans a little bit, but it really doesn't scrape that fouling out. So you just want to get one that's sized appropriately. That's a lot. So I'm gonna wipe this clean. Now, how do I know when it's properly cleaned? I'll show you. So when I know it's clean, watch this. See how freely that spins? I know that is 100% clean inside the fire channel. People who are really into accuracy, shooting long range, running 120 grains or a max load on your Blackhorn or 3 Pyrodex pellets, you're going to have to clean this fire channel and this breech plug probably every 10 shots. So very critical to the accuracy. So now the breech plug's clean externally, the flame channel is clean, and then all I have to do is just take a clean patch, wipe everything down. Now before we lube and install this, there's one more thing we got to do. We have to clean the threads inside the breech plug. So it's nice on the speed breech design because you only have threads, on 2 sides of your breech plug, so you don't have them going all the way around. And the way we clean these is pretty simple. You take your breech plug brush and you take your saturated cleaning patch, you put your patch right there on the back of your breech, and you push it through and you twist. Now remember, you don't have to go in that far. You're only going into your thread depth, so I pretty much go to where the bristles end and to keep spinning and pulling in and out. Now sometimes you lose the patch, no big deal. You take your range rod and you knock it out. Now, look at this. Look at how dirty the threads were inside the breech. If you just put the breech plug back in, even though you clean your breech plug and you lube your breech plug, all of this creates corrosion, and then this prevents, this will lead to a stuck breech plug or one that corrodes inside your gun. So I typically run a couple of these just to make sure. And again, it's not going to come out squeaky clean. There's always some little bit of staining that occurs. But you can see here, just running 2 of them. That's darn near clean, right? So there was your first one, right? And there's your second one. Now we want to make sure everything's completely dry inside, so we're going to take ourselves a dry patch. Repeat the process. All right. So at this time, right, barrel's clean, my threads are clean inside the barrel, and then my breech plug is clean. So what would make the most sense? What would most shooters, most hunters go do, right? They'll lube this and they'll go ahead and they'll reassemble it. That's the wrong thing to do. That is why so many people have breech plugs that are stuck inside their gun. The right thing to do, believe it or not, if you're going to store your gun long term, store it like this. The breech plug's out of it. And you're sitting and asking yourself, well, why do I want to do that? That allows airflow to go through. So you keep your gun in a good gun safe, you keep it in a dehumidified area, and you will not have a breech plug stuck inside your gun because the breech plug's not inside your gun. Now, obviously you don't want to lose your breech plug, but this is the best way to store your gun. Now, for the sake of demonstration here, I am going to put this back in and we're going to lube the barrel up, but recommendation, long-term storage, take your breech plug, leave it outside your gun, let the air flow. You will never, ever, ever have any issues as long as your barrel's clean, your threads are clean, and you've obviously have lubed your barrel. So let's go ahead and let's say we're going to just store this short term, or we just cleaned it at the range. We tend to go take this back out. So you're going to take a high pressure grease, the best on the market, Super Lube by TC. I'm telling you, I've used it all. We also make a T17 version of this, but standard Super Lube is the best high pressure grease. And we're just going to take a line, squirt it down both threads, like that. And then we're just going to work it in. So this goes in the threads. You're going to cover your gas piston rings right there. You want to get some on the back of your O-ring. Now, even if I was going to just store the breech plug outside the gun for long term, I would still go ahead and grease this so it doesn't rust, but we're going to put this back in. Okay, so breech plug completely coated. Now, here's another thing people don't think about. You have threads inside the breech as well. You need to grease the threads inside your barrel. Now, if you have a standard breech plug, it may take 11 revolutions to screw it in. Well, if you have grease just on the plug and you screw it all the way in, you're chasing all the grease to the back of the breech plug and you're losing the grease on the front end of your breech plug. So what you want to do is just take your grease in your pinky, right like that. Liberally squirt some on your pinky. Now here, the threads are on the top and the bottom. So I just take my pinky, right like that, and I go in, and I put some on the top, I spin it around, and I put grease on the threads inside the barrel. This is the easiest way. I'll put a little on the sides just to completely coat it, but the majority of the grease is sitting on my threads. You cannot put too much grease in. This works with the standard breech plug as well as the Speed Breech XT. So remember, take your high pressure grease, take your Super Lube, and put it on the threads inside the barrel as well as externally. So at this point, I have my threads greased on both sides. Put this in like this. And then what I normally do is I lock it in, and then I take it back like this and just kind of work the grease into the threads. And pivot the extractor up, close it, and I'm ready to go. So the last thing we're gonna do is now we're going to take our lubed patches and we're just going to go and coat the barrel. So we'll just put that over it, run this down, And all I'm doing is just making sure I'm coating the inside of the barrel so I don't have any rust, any corrosion, anything that's going to create poor performance in the future. But look at how clean. Look at how clean this patch is. So there you go. So that is about as good as that gun is ever going to be cleanliness wise. The barrel is cleaned, it's lubed, the breech plug is clean, the flash channel is clean. The only thing I have left to do is just take an oil cloth, wipe the gun down, get everything cleaned out, and then store the muzzleloader. Now, there's a couple theories on how to store any rifle. A lot of your old school guys will tell you, you store it like this. That way, if you do have any grease, any contaminants, any moisture, it runs down your barrel and doesn't run back into your action. That's a personal choice what you want to do. So if you follow this simple procedure, it's clean, it's easy, it's something you can do all the time, and it's going to keep your gun in tip-top shape and make sure that you don't ruin your muzzleloader.